with this, we are entering our technical presentation. Sorry for the delay. Dr. N. Parameswaran Muttada and Dr. N.K. Pillai, we are our technical expert for this session. And Parameswaran sir will be handling most of the presentation. He had a wonderful, he had prepared a wonderful slide, and we hope a lot of information for the effective implementation. Parameswaran sir have more than 40 years of industrial experience. He had worked in HAL, Gada Chemicals, UPL, and coordinated environmental protection activities in UPL Group for more than 22 years. His experience include in academic as well as in industrial field, environmental regulations, wastewater treatment, hazardous waste management, EA preparation, environmental audit, etc. He currently the director of Shivaling Solid Waste Management and as well as KEA. And he's academically very active and a trustee of SRICT Engineering College, Ankleshwar, Gujarat. I invite Dr. Parameswaran sir Muttada for our major presentation. Sir, try to minimize in 30-35 minutes. And then the Pillai sir will add up the further points. Parameswaran sir, please.
Yeah. Thank you for the nice introduction. I'm very thankful to the organizers of this program, especially Mr. Biju. And I am also very thankful for the presence of Mr. Biju Prabhakaran IAS, Secretary Government of Kerala, and he spent his valuable time. And also, I'm happy to know that he's a chemical engineer. From where I also belong. I also belong to the chemical engineering fraternity. I also thankful for the welcome given by Dr. K.B. Radhakrishnan. I know him very well and he is my good friend and we used to interact very well. And also I appreciate the presence of Mr. Sajo, Dr. Srijit, and several others. Mr. Keshavan Nair, I saw the last day's presentation. Very active people, lot of active people and officers from KSPCB industries. Very thankful. So I will go to the presentation. Please start sharing the presentation. Is it coming? It has come?
Yeah.
Yes, it has come. Okay, I will put on the full screen.
All others, please switch off your mic, please.
So I will try to complete this in the time given by Biju. So so this hazardous waste management, which all of our previous speakers have talked about it, European Union has come up with the stringent norms for hazardous waste management. Focus is shifted to developing waste management technologies that actually recover and conserve natural resources. That is the main focus. Recover and you dispose only minimum quantity. And at the same time, without proper destruction or disposal, hazardous waste could be a major source of toxic pollution and threat to our lives and the natural environment. This is what has happened at many sites. In Europe or even USA, a large number of Superfund sites, contaminated sites with mainly hazardous chemicals, hazardous waste dumped illegally. Lot of sites, or 1,000 sites, and a lot of funds are spent for cleaning up the sites, remediating the sites. So we don't have money. We have started industrialization in the last 15 years. we have not polluted much of our soil and land, so we need to take care. So hazardous waste presents immediate or long-term risk to humans, animals, plants, or the environment. So on the regulations, I think previous speakers have touched, so I will not go much into the details. So all this, you know that the Umbrella Act on Environmental Protection, 1986, all the provisions, rules, regulations today are under the Environmental Protection Act 1986, which has come after the Bhopal tragedy. So this initially in 1989, Handling Act 1989 was there, amended in 2000, 2003. Then new rule came in 2008, suppressing the earlier rule. So totally changed. Similarly, in 2016, the 2008 rules were suppressed and new rule came, which is called the hazardous and other waste. You have noted, there is a provision other waste. Management and Transboundary Movement Rules 2016, it is notified on 4th April 2016. Even though it is notified in 2016, most of the states are still under implementing the new rules. Some of them are still following 2008 because the transition is taking place. Some of the authorizations given earlier are continuing and the change is there. Why these so many amendments? These amendments are made to comply with the Basel Convention. There is an international convention, it is a Basel Convention, and incorporating recommendations of High Power Committee constituted by Honorable Supreme Court. There was a High Power Committee headed by Professor M.G.K. Menon. He has visited Kerala. He has this committee has recommended. In their final recommendation, they have suggested to amend the hazardous waste rules for a better compliance and also as per the Basel Convention. So what has happened in 1989 to 2016? I am not going in much detail. In 89 rules, there were only 18 categories of waste given in the schedule with the regulatory quantities. So 18 quantities, for example, the category 1 was cyanide waste. If the cyanide waste is generation by an industry is more than 5 kg per year, then you have to get an authorization, permission from that authorization from the Pollution Control Board. Similarly, there are 18 categories which are given more as in general. For example, phenol content in a waste is more than 5 kg or phenol residue is more than 5 kg, it is a hazardous waste. Like that it was given. So then subsequently, because of this Basel Convention and our people who are attending the meeting, the 89 rules have been amended in 2000 and 2003, major amendments, where it has changed the definitions and the schedules. So there it has some process steps were there, process generating hazardous waste were there. Then based on the characteristics in schedule 2, it was added. But that was also found, and in the same thing, there that time in 1989, basically there were not much on the setting up of the treatment, storage and disposal facilities. Because nothing was available for, if you say that you had to send in landfill or dispose in landfill, there was no such facilities existing. So it has to be created, but by 2000, 2003, a lot of facilities have come up and accordingly the rules also have modified. In 2008 rules, 2008 rules is a significant change from the earlier. So there were in schedule 1, because schedule 1 is a listed waste. Based on the process, waste are listed. 36 processes, manufacturing processes are there, and each one has 4 or 5 streams, and like that 111 waste streams are listed. So in schedule 1, so this 111 waste streams, without question, they are hazardous waste. So if they are generating from that particular industry, then it is categorized as a hazardous waste. Additionally, under Schedule 2, waste have to be considered based on concentration limits. That is characteristic. Based on the characteristics, they have to, there is defined. In the 2016 rules, under Schedule 1, there are 38 processes. Earlier, 32 more processes are added, and the total listed waste streams are 125. So, compared to 2008, 14 more waste types have added into the new rule, the present rule. There is a total change in Schedule 2 for consumption. That characteristics determination in Schedule 2, that definitions or total category in has been changed. What has happened in 1989 to 2016, there were major modifications including in the definition of the hazardous waste and roles and responsibilities of generator, operator, transporter, associations and authorities. Their roles and responsibilities have been changed. Lot of, for example, identification of site, the roles were there changed. So, responsibilities have been changed. Now things have been clearly defined. The new rule focus to utilize, recover and reuse maximum. So this rule is asking to conserve the resources. So recover, reuse, co-process maximum material, and ultimate waste for disposal is to be minimum. That is the fundamental point when you look at this rule. In the 2016 rules, byproduct is defined. Byproduct was not defined earlier in other rules. So this is very important. So waste, to distinguish between waste and byproduct, separate guideline is published by CPCB last year. I was also there in the committee discussions. This how you can segregate a byproduct and how permission can be given to utilization. There is a confusion because some people industry claim everything as byproduct, but the byproducts are really generated during the manufacturing. But for example, a HCl as a byproduct, and HCl can be spent HCl. So that is clearly separated, and the byproducts can be sold or utilized. Waste import and export, restrictions or ban as per schedule. Earlier in the 89 rule, you can import for recovery. But today, there are a lot of restrictions for import because people were misusing the rule, and a lot of things were imported, lot of waste have been imported and dumped at many places. Another important thing is other wastes are included and defined. Other waste. So basically it is for import and export, other waste. It is not under the definition I am giving. So in 2000 I already taught 36 process and 111 waste streams, and the classification was class A concentration limit more than 50 milligram per kg. You can see that it is given in milligram per kg, whereas in the new rule it is given in milligram per liter, because everything has to be done as per the TCMP test, and concentration is given in the milligram per liter in a different way. That is why, so ABCD classification is given and different compounds are given. So the basis of these rules was the Basel Convention. So I will not go much in detail. One of the incidents which led to the creation of the Basel Convention was the Can Sea Waste Disposal incident, in which a ship carrying incinerator ash from the city of Philadelphia in the US dumped half of its load on a beach in Haiti before being forced away. It was asked to go away. They were dumping in a beach. It sailed for many months, changing its name several times. Unable to unload the cargo in any port, the crew was believed to have dumped much of it at sea. So it's a very big incident. There are several such incidents, but this is one of the incident. People disposing the hazardous waste illegally somewhere, any underdeveloped country or developing country or in the sea. So the Basel Convention on the Control of Transboundary Movements of Hazardous Waste and their Disposal is the most comprehensive global environmental treaty on hazardous and other waste. The convention was opened for signature on 22nd March 1989 and entered into force on 5th May 1992. There are 186 countries and the European Union members. So most of the countries are members and based on this one. So based on this is one scenario I have got from Dr. Pillai on the inventory of hazardous waste as per the Pollution Control Board inventorization in 2017. So you can see about 45,000 tons is generated and it is split as landfillable, incinerable, recyclable. So now we will go straight away to the salient features of the new rule. So main focus on waste minimization. As the way the rule focus on waste minimization, recycling, reuse, recovery, co-processing and safe disposal. Disposal is okay, safe disposal. Ultimately in say after treatment, safe disposal in a secured landfill. So for the management of hazardous and other waste, an occupier shall follow the following steps, namely prevention, avoid generation, minimization, reuse, recycling, recovery, utilization including co-processing. Utilization in different way. Example, you have seen utilization of phosphogypsum, gypsum board. That is a utilization. So safe disposal is the final. After everything, you recovery, solvent recovery, if it is a solvent waste recovery, many of the things recovery all given in the green color, they are the preferred, and the last one is okay, is safe disposal because you cannot throw away. So that is important. So here I will be only talking the major points, and I think Biju will be sharing the presentation. If anyone wants to have more details, you can go through, or even you can talk to me later. So this will not apply for wastewater, radioactive waste, biomedical waste and domestic waste. For domestic waste, there is already separate rule, municipal solid waste rule, because 6 waste rules have been notified in 2016 for plastic waste, e-waste, biomedical waste, municipal solid waste, hazardous waste and construction and demolition waste. 6 rules have been notified, amended in 2016. So each has clear definitions and implementation plan. This rule, hazardous waste rules 2016, has 6 chapters, 8 schedules and 12 forms. So I will just say deals with applicability. Chapter 2 deals with the provisions of waste management, responsibilities of various agencies. 3 deals with import and export. Most of the other things are dealing with the import and various other aspects, liabilities, and mainly import. Then chapter 5 deals with packaging, labeling, transportation requirements and everything. Schedule, important schedule is Schedule 1, list of processes generating hazardous waste. Schedule 2 is list of waste constituents with concentration limits. I told you that the concentration limits based on that one, that is characteristic waste. Then other, Schedule 3, Schedule 4 is on list of commonly which recyclable waste. Then Schedule 5 is used oil, waste oil, that definition. 6, 7, basically regarding import and export related, and the Schedule 7 list of authorities and corresponding duties are given. So schedule give the details. Forms are there, I will say important form. Form 1 is the application which the industry has to submit for grant of authorization or even renewal. That form 2 is the form in which the authority, the pollution control board, give the authorization. The document given under this rules is authorization. Any industry, even for recycling, reprocessors, reusers, all this, even TSDF operators has to obtain the authorization. That is the important document. Then form 3 is very important for the industry. That is the format for maintaining records of hazardous and other waste. I think if you have any doubts, you can ask. There is I will show the form, but how, because some difficulty may be there. Form number 4 is the format for annual returns, because every year you have to submit the details. How much waste have been generated, how much waste has been disposed, and you have to give the analysis reports, all details you have to submit to the pollution control board. And pollution control, based on the details received from all industries, they compile the data and submit to the Central Pollution Control Board. And these are basically transboundary movement when you send to the other country if it is applicable. Then form number 8 is labeling. If you need this transportation, especially in containers, for example, in drums, if you have to fill some residues or liquid solvents and everything, you need a labeling properly. And card format is there. Format of preparing any accidents. See, if you meet with any accident in handling hazardous waste, then there is a separate format where you have to report the accidents in that format. So that is also very important. So waste definition means materials that are not products or byproducts for which generator has no further use. So that is very important. Byproduct, I told you, material that is not intended to be produced but get produced in production process of intended product and is used as such. So byproduct is also there. Hazardous waste, the characteristics are reactivity, toxicity, flammability, explosivity, corrosivity. So that is the fundamental definition in the Basel Convention also. This is there. Disposal. What is disposal? Any operation which does not lead to reuse, recycling, recovery, utilization, including co-processing, and includes, it is a treatment, physicochemical treatment, biological treatment, incineration, and disposal in secured landfill. So very clearly they have defined. So all recovery operations are exempted, and this one. Co-processing, it is in the cement kiln. Use of waste material in this manufacturing process. It can be used as an alternate fuel. It's very much practiced in many. In India, almost 1 lakh ton of waste is now, or even more than that, is used in the co-processing. Other waste is, I told you, this is for the import or export. It is there. Pre-processing treatment, it is a treatment before doing co-processing or recycling. Recycling is the reclamation, reuse, use of hazardous or other waste for its original use or other use. Recovery, any operation or activity wherein specific materials are recovered. Utilization, use of hazardous or other waste as a resource. So that is a very clear. Used oil is, we can process and reuse it, suitable for processing, whereas waste oil, you cannot use it. It may have to be any oil which includes spills of crude oil, emulsions, tank bottom sludge, and stock oil. So this is a separate category. Used oil is given. This may have to be treated like incineration or other processes. So schedule 1, I told, in the 38 processes are included with 125 waste streams. Many processes, they have added spent solvent, spent catalyst, and spent acids, which was not much there in earlier 2008. So I saw this in some pesticide categories, spent solvent, spent catalyst, and spent acids are added in some of the things which was not there in 2008. So what is schedule 2? I told you there is a change in the entire schedule 2. Constituents has to be done as per the toxicity characteristic teaching procedure, TCLP. I think there is a one slide on TCLP. Few examples are arsenic if it is there more than 5 concentration in milligram per liter. So you are seeing there it is given in milligram per kg. Here it is in, when you do the leachate, in that leachate you have to find out the concentration in for a milligram per liter. That is a TCLP test. So various compounds they have given. For example, cyanide if the concentration is more than 20 milligram per liter. Benzene if it is more than 0.5 milligram per liter. So you make the leachate, and in the leachate you do the testing. If it exceeds, then it is a hazardous waste. It is a characteristic waste. That is the fundamental difference in the earlier rule and this one. This class B is given based on the concentration. For example, asbestos, milligram per kg 10,000. Similarly, total petroleum hydrocarbons, even because if some soil is contaminated, then it can be classified as hazardous waste easily by this classification. Then class C is based on hazardous characteristics like that, flammability, corrosivity, reactivity, all these criterion also it is there. So these are the classification characteristics world over being used for classifying. Ignitability if it is burnable, corrosivity because acidic or highly alkaline it will corrode, reactivity if they mix together they are reactive, many ways are reactive, peroxides and many other things are very reactive, and toxicity is one of the important thing, very much harmful to the human being. So hazardous waste can be on this categorization is basically accepted world over, and so this is one from a example from a pharma or bulk truck industry. Earlier it was a different thing. Today 28.1 is process residues and waste, 28 is spent catalyst, 28.4. So you can, if you see 28.4, you can say it is off specification products from a pharma industry. So labeling should specify like that one. The spent carbon is there. In addition to that one, if they generate ATP sludge and everything, ATP sludge will go to 35.3. So all these are very well defined in this one. You can write in this one. Responsibilities are there. I will go very fast. So follow the hierarchy of waste management, waste minimization and there, and then you get the permissions, authorization. That is very important. Then you have to manage it properly, handle the waste very properly. So I will discuss those things in my coming slide in 5 minutes into this one. Authority, MOEFNC is the nodal agency. They have to identify the hazardous waste. Their responsibility basically in the permission for import and export. And they also promote environmentally sound management of hazardous and other waste. And they conduct various training programs. CPCB is basically coordination of activities of various pollution control boards, and they prepare the standards. They prepare, and they also prepare annual review report on management. They get the reports from the state boards and they finally prepare and submit to the Ministry of Environment and the government. Union territories, they have to identify sites for common disposal facility. That is one the state and responsibility, and another is notification of sites, because the site will have to be notified as a hazardous waste site. So that is one of the responsibilities of SPCB. Is a very important role. Inventorization of hazardous and other waste. They have to inventorize how much waste is generated, how much stock is there. All this they have to do. Grant and renewal of authorization. That is very important. Then monitoring of compliance. All these permissions are there. All people complying to the requirements. All these are responsibility. And action against violation. If somebody is violating, they have to take action. Then annual report to CPCB. All there is a great responsibility by the Pollution Control Board, and that is being done, and it's very usage, obtain authorization. Even if you are a recycler, maintain passbook. That is a very important, because passbook is used when you are using recycling or usage. So if you have to give somewhere for recycling, there is a passbook and this notification, and that usage is very important. Storage and other waste, normally you can store for 90 days. Small generators are permitted to store up to 180 days. And in special cases where if you can recover, then up to 180 days they may be permitting. There is a provision in rule number 9 under this one. For utilization, you have to get the permission. You have to get authorization from State Pollution Control Board, and for that there are standard operating procedures are prepared by Central Pollution Control Board, and depending on that one, people can apply and get this one. So treatment, storage and disposal facility responsibilities are there: properly maintaining, design, setting up, operating, getting authorization, transporting the waste properly. So all these are responsibilities of common facility or even a captive facility. If a person has their own landfill or their own incinerator, they have to follow it properly. So those are the responsibility. So then have to maintain the records in form number 3, and also they have to submit the form number 4 is the annual return. Packing and labeling is very important for hazardous waste. There is a format given in form number 8 which is there with all details, where it is going, what are the content, category, all number details are there. Similarly, I told about the format to be maintained for the stock register. This stock register is very important, and every day you need to fill up. What is the opening stock? What is the, because this is the basic form given, but you can adopt a computer, a format, and you can make in the same thing. And you can have, ideally what we need is, what is the opening stock that particular day? What is the generation category wise? What is the quantity you have disposed of? And how you have stored it? And other details. So you should have the details in the form number 3. This is a very important document for during visit, and this is a very important document to be maintained, and it is to be maintained day to day. Even if it is not generated or you have not disposed, put it 0, same stock. Opening and closing stock may be same. Manifest system is very important thing as per the rule, and there is a change. This is the document used for transportation of the waste. It is called in form number 10. This is given in 7 colors, and the details are there. I will go, this has the details, you have to give all the details. But if KEL is giving the manifest in Kerala, they will put their details like their authorization number, address and everything. You have to fill all the details. People should not forget to fill something. That is very important. Your details, quantity, category of waste, everything you have to put it properly, and when you hand over this to the transporter, you have to ensure that everything is put and properly signed. So this is the copies, copy 1 byte to be forwarded to the sender to SPCB, 2 to be given to the driver transporter, 3 to be retained by the receiver, that is the TSDF, DI, KEL. If they are receiving, they will orange copy for. Again, after receiving, you have to hand it over to the transporter. 5 green to be sent by the receiver. So receiver is to be sending back to the pollution control board. So copy 5, it process that they have received. Then copy 6 is again receiver sent to the sender. And 7, if it is required only if interstate some waste is being transferred. So it is very clearly, so cradle to grave, this is a full circle. So it is, you can tracking the waste, where exactly it is there. Many states now online manifest is used, just like Maharashtra and Gujarat, using online. So data are clearly, easily visible. I think Kerala also will be coming. So this is now sources and the type of waste generated. I will go very fast because I know in the raw material purification process, unwanted products, sludge generated from effluent treatment plant, sludge from neutralization of spent acids, spoiled products, wet expired products, spent catalyst, spent adsorbents, lot of things, lot of materials, So, if you ever see a process where you take raw materials, adjuvants, you process and you come with a discarded product, byproduct, residues. If you have effluent you treat, you end up with the ETP sludge. Air pollution control system, you generate some residues. So all these you categorize into different this one, and most of the things may come into the hazardous waste. Types can be non-hazardous waste, hazardous waste, inorganic waste, organic waste, biodegradable waste, non-biodegradable waste. I'm not going into detail. So this is the waste hierarchy again given in this one: source reduction, recycling, other recycling, treatment and disposal. You can see green and red. So treatment and disposal is considered not preferred activity, but you have to do that one. So least preferred activity. So waste characterization is very important. So I told you that the TCLP test is one important thing. It is a USCPA methodology. Waste is mixed with, leached with some water with 3 to 5.5 pH. Two types are there. Then it is in a equipment mixed for 24 hours. Then that leachate is taken out and analyzed. That procedure is called the TCLP test. So this takes away, this naturally, if a rain, acid rain is there, something may leach away. Like that concept, also you have to do like that one. Then they do the analysis. Waste segregation is very important. You have to segregate the waste into this one. Acid and alkaline waste needs to be segregated. Any reactive waste to be kept separately. Very categories are there: effluent treatment plant, sludge, primary sludge, secondary sludge, salt from evaporation, ash from incineration, organic waste, processed residues like that, and spent solvents, spent catalysts, spent absorbents. All these different. Transportation, you know that dedicated vehicles, very care has to be taken, as our chief guest told. It's very important thing, and there should not be spillage. It should be covered vehicle, dedicated vehicles, dumpers with the hydraulic mechanism has to be there, and drivers should be given proper training. Storage, if you are storing, proper storage facility with the impervious flooring, spillage collection, roofing, flame-proof fitting. So waste treatment of direct landfill, treatment and landfill, then treatment and incineration. There are different treatments required: neutralization, solidification, stabilization, and thermal treatment. Because of the time problem, I will skip this one. All of you know, I will just say there is an acceptance criteria. Neutralization, everyone know that pH is to be made into the neutral range. Then solidification is a process by which, because some waste may be slurry, so that is why so that you have to make it solidified. So stabilization is very important, because stabilization, if some heavy metals are there, then you have to make it immobilize. That is a fixation process. So what you do is mix with certain materials like cement, bentonite, lime, and some other chemicals, and they make it a fixing. It is a fixation process. And then you do the TCLP test, so it will not come out. Thermal treatment is for the organic waste like incineration, or you can do in the co-processing. So I'm not telling you, know the incineration is our chemical engineers and chemists very clearly know organic waste. When you do oxidize, it gets converted into CO2, H2O and everything. So there is a standard, and we have to go for the 2-stage, and safely you can incinerate. Landfill is the ultimate disposal. There you excavate, provide the lineage, and then after this one again you cover it. It just becomes a tub. You are putting material there, and then you monitor it. So main thing is that it should not contaminate the soil or groundwater. So there are monitoring wells, and lot of it should be properly designed. So it is called a secured landfill. So these are the liner system, clay liner and the lineage geomembranes. This is as per the standards of CPCB. 2 geomembranes lineages are there with minimum 1.5 mm thick clay lineages for 50 mm minimum, and they are the natural lineages. Then you put the waste, then again this is the typical landfill, this one. So this is the construction of the landfill KEIL. Some few photos so I can complete very fast. So this is providing that HDP liner. Then again, there is a geotextile about the landfill because the liner should not get punctured. Then this is one of the photograph after the capping. After capping, because under this one, maybe around 2 lakh metric ton of waste is there. This capped portion of the landfill I have taken because of this one. So it is just a part of a box. Underneath there is waste and the bottom there is liner. And the leachate, whatever the water generated is taken, pumped out and treated. And that is treated fully in a multiple effect evaporator. This is designed by Dr. Manoj Datta, a professor from IIT Delhi. And all standards are maintained and he visits once or twice in a year to see the construction activities. So we are maintaining, we get a completion certificate after construction of every cell, and because very, very important. This is hazardous waste received about, in a year something maximum last year about 62,000 ton received and 18-19 65,000 ton. So there is a cumulative quantity about 5 lakh ton has been received and disposed in this one. And major suppliers are there: Hindalco, Cochin Shipyard, Mita Gelatin, all these industries, more than 1,500, and good quantity is being various industries, and we are very thankful to the industries for supporting such a, because this project has come up with our initiative. We are very afraid that we were not getting the waste properly, and the project, the main generator is like the Cummingcock Binani is not working, all of you know. So we have difficulty, we are not getting if it is not viable. So this is one photo of our facility at Ankaleshwar after the capping at this one, and thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, definitely I can answer. And also I can elaborate. Then
thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. for a wonderful, excellent school presentation. Because it's dry and boring subjects like hazardous waste management you have presented in such a nice and cheap way. So I invite Dr. N.K. Pillai, who has more than 13 years of experience in chemical process industry, including pesticide, fertilizer and petrochemical industries, and over 14 years experience in hazardous waste management, and especially at the helm of KEIL as a Chief Executive Officer. Kerala Enviro Infrastructure Limited, which is involved in treatment, storage, disposal facility for solids and hazardous waste. Dr. N.K. Pillai holds PhD in chemistry. He knows the chemistry side as well as the chemistry of life. He's a very affordable, loving and sweet man. One of the exceptionally different person I have met in my life, with a lot of love and respect. I invite Dr. N.K. Pillai for his valuable remarks. Hello, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Biju, for that nice introduction. Thank you very much. Good evening to all the dignitaries. I think Mr. Biju Prabhakar is still there, or has he left? Okay.
Biju sir left.
Yeah. Okay. Biju Prabhakar, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Dr. Srijit, other senior officials of KSPCB, Dr. Parameshwaran, and ladies and gentlemen. I thank the Joint Action Council, especially Mr. Biju, for giving me this opportunity to be to participate in this very important subject of hazardous waste management. We already have heard a lot about hazardous waste management and the importance of hazardous waste management from all the speakers, and very detailed elucidation from Dr. Parameswaran, who is our director of Kerala Enviro Infrastructure Limited. Kerala Enviro Infrastructure Limited ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ട് ഞാൻ പറയാം. 1986 നമുക്ക് എൻവയോൺമെന്റൽ പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ ആക്ടും ഉണ്ടായി. 1989 ഹസാർഡസ് വേസ്റ്റ് മാനേജ്മെന്റ് ഉണ്ട് രാജ്യത്ത്. പക്ഷേ hazardous waste management people were not taking very seriously. So with the result, the Supreme Court, the apex court of the country, had to intervene. And in a landmark judgment of 2003, the apex court had directed, or they have stressed the importance of common facilities for treatment, storage and disposal of hazardous waste. In the absence of such a common facility and due to the impracticability of each and every unit for processing such facilities, the industries in Kerala state faced threat of immediate closure. See, that is the easiest thing. The Supreme Court Monitoring Committee who visited the state, they ordered closure of all the industries in Kerala. You can imagine what will happen in a state like Kerala where already the industries are very less in number. And if you close down all the industries, it would have become a catastrophe. So government of Kerala sprang into action, and they, because the court directive has to be complied with, so they immediately tried to make land available at FACT, Cochin Division, and the Kerala State Industry Development Corporation, KSIDC, was entrusted to set up this facility. They were acted as a nodal agency. And KSIDC, with about 81 industries in the state of Kerala, all those industries are shareholders in KEA. They have established this facility for treatment, storage and disposal facility. And we are operating since 2008, and we have a facility for treatment and disposal of solid hazardous waste generated in the state of Kerala. As Dr. Parameswaran has already explained, initially we were facing problems because we were not getting sufficient quantity of waste, though we have invested all the money. But then, because of the intervention from Industries Department, Kerala State Pollution Control Board and other agencies, we started getting waste. And now I am happy to say that we are getting sufficient quantity of waste from the industries in the state. As on now, we have about more than 1,000 industries who are members in this facility. Out of that, there are 4 industry associations. One is at Perimbaur, having the plywood and sawmill owners and plywood manufacturers association. Edayar Small Scale Industries Association. One in Kannur, Handloom Association, and again another plywood manufacturers association in Kannur. So they have joined the KEL as industry members, and as a group they have taken membership, common membership, and along with all that together we have about 1,050 members in KEL, and they are supplying their waste to KEL for disposal. Now, as Dr. Parameswaran has explained, from 2008 till date, KEL has collected and disposed nearly 5 lakh metric tons of hazardous waste in our secured landfill. The secured landfill construction he has already explained. It's a costly and difficult process. We can make the landfill only during non-rainy season. In Kerala, we have 6 months monsoon, so we have to construct a landfill during the non-rainy season and keep it ready so that when the waste comes, we should not say that we don't have space. So you can imagine, 5 lakh metric tons of waste from 2008 till now, so about almost 11-12 years. This is the quantity of waste. So the number of industries in the state have not increased since 2008. So all these waste would have gone to to unauthorized places, or maybe to undesignated places. But now, luckily, we have this facility here, and we are at the service of the industries. And most of the participants, I am in contact with them. They know me very well, at our facility also. only thing is we have certain difficulties, which I must say in this thing. The manifest which Dr. Parameshwaran has explained, many of the industries, they don't take it very seriously. They don't fill it properly. So there are 6 copies. The 7th copy, of course, it is meant for import, export. So the 6 copies, they, even when they are filling it, it is not legible. So when we send the copies to Pollution Control Board, they complain that this is not legible. So I would request the participants, the industry members, to kindly fill up this manifest legibly, and if you are not able to fill it in one stretch, please make 3 copies at a time and send the manifest to us with the proper details. All the details should be filled in, because this is a very important document. This is collected by the Pollution Control Board, and also the Central Pollution Control Board. They keep monitoring this. This is it's a basic inventory of how much hazardous waste has been produced in the country, how much hazardous waste has been disposed, and how much is properly handled. So this is a very important document. The second thing, our facility is meant for solid hazardous waste. At present, we do not have facility for liquid. Of course, we can accept slurry material if they can be converted into solid form. But then, in spite of repeated requests from our side, some of the members sent, waste with some quantity of liquid in that. Now, there is a testing done at our laboratory, LRT, liquid LRT test, that tests the quantity of liquid in the waste. So if it is not passing the LRT test, we'll have to reject that. But so far we are not doing that, because we try to accommodate the waste. But this is a request to the members that kindly send the samples which is as complying with the original sample which they have supplied. Other than that, I don't have any other suggestions to make, and I am only saying that we are this being the only facility in the state of Kerala, we are at the service of the industry, and whenever you have any problem on hazardous waste, you are requested to kindly contact me or my colleagues at the KE. I thank all the organizers. Once again, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and let's hope the hazardous waste management in the country, in the state, will improve, and we all work together for a better waste management in this state. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.